on, we're recording. Here we go. All right. My name is Saul Jones. Welcome to This Is Our Normal. Just a overview of what we're about is we're making a podcast here to kind of get the stigma off of addiction. I'm an addict myself. My producer here, Joel, he's also an addict. And what we do is, we live life in recovery. It's a lifelong journey, and it's never going to be over. There's so much more that goes into addiction than people think. It's not just about wanting or having the will to quit. The brain just doesn't work that easily. But one of the best things that have helped us stay in remission has been some comic relief and just hanging out with other addicts. So I thought it'd be great to have a podcast where it's addicts coming on, telling what we love to tell, which is stories about us using drugs, our war stories, or us getting sober, and getting sober, staying sober, and then in the process, kind of shitting on each other through it. Because if you can't laugh at the shit we've been through, then it's gonna be hell. So little overview about myself. I am an addict, like I said. I've been in recovery. Started trying to recover since 2015, and had a couple relapses off and on. I'm sober right now. Been sober since November 7th of last year, and had some wild times, some fun times. I want to talk about the seriousness of addiction later, but I also want to kind of have a good time here. So let's talk about some of the ridiculousness that's my normal when I'm using. The last time that I went into treatment, what led me there was I was using methamphetamine. My drug of choice is actually opiates. I like to take, Norcos and oxycodone and all that good stuff. But I didn't have them at the time, so I, didn't want to go through withdrawal. I decided to use some methamphetamine, and that tore me up quick. Right, took me right into rehab fast. Lost a bunch of weight. I got down to about 135 pounds. I'm 6'1". So the last couple days leading up to me going into treatment were amazing, amazingly horrible. But it was normal to me. It's stuff that when I tell the guys in this room, these stories, they can look at me with a straight face or laugh at it. I tell these stories to people that don't know addiction, and it's like, are you kidding me? The last couple days, so I was living with a lady that I worked with. She rented me a room, God bless her. And I started using meth, and I was under the impression, in my mind, due to the psychosis from the methamphetamine and staying up, that her family was surveilling me and wanting me out of her house, and that they somehow worked for the CIA or FBI. And this is real to me, by the way. When I think back to this time, when I think back to myself during this time, it's still real. I know it didn't happen. I know it's not real, but the memory is real as can be. It's real as sitting in front of me right now. So I was literally thought I was being surveilled. Thought they had cameras all over me. Thought they had tapped my car. So I pack a bag and I start driving down the freeway, down the 5 as fast as I can. And I'm keep in mind, I'd been up for about 4 or 5 days on meth. I look like I'm on meth, and I'm on meth. I'm driving down the 5, and the voices in the car are yelling at me, you're going to get pulled over. You're going to get pulled over. And I said, fuck it. I want to get pulled over. Then they'll know you've tapped my car, and you guys will go to jail. You know what I mean? So I keep blowing down the 5, and I'm like, I'm just going to keep driving. All of a sudden, guess what? I hit the border, Mexico. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I freak out. I roll down the window. Oh, quick side note. I had a safe sitting on my passenger seat filled with methamphetamine and anabolic steroids. Right? So I rolled my window down. I yelled at Border Patrol, hey, I said, how do I not go in here right now? And he goes, there's no option. He goes, you're here. He's like, you got to go in and come all the way back out. I'm like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. So I smuggled drugs into Mexico. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I got to get these drugs I'm not getting rid of them. Yeah, God forbid I get rid of the drugs. Right? So I pull over to the quickest gas station, pull out a wad of fucking cash. They're only speaking Spanish. They fill your car for you over there too, you know? So I'm like, hey, could you fill me up real quick? Here's $40. And I'm going to also go put this safe of drugs in my trunk. Can you watch me do that? Right? You know? So he sees me do that. I take off. Also, by the way, voices are still in my car, guys. I'm still dealing with that shit. You know? Now I'm trying to deal with the law, the real, and I've got voices going on chasing me around, you know? So I'm like, okay, I get the safe in the trunk. The service to my cell phone immediately when you cross the border is like roaming and like no service. So I can't use my GPS. So I don't know how to get back over. I'm just lost in Mexico. And I'm like, I'm freaking the fuck out, right? So I finally, by the grace of the good Lord Jesus Christ himself, I somehow turn around and I get back in line to get back into the United States of America. And the thing is, while I'm doing that, my car starts like sputtering and turning off and doing weird shit. And I'm like, which is also due to, you know, whoever's tapped my car. They're doing this shit to my car too. It's not that it was a piece of shit car in my mind. So I'm yelling at the voices like, stop fucking with my car. Like, I just want to get back to America with my drugs. Right? So I get back in line. I get up there. I'm next in line. And I know so they're checking cars. Right? And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I pull up. She's like, pop the trunk. Right? So I just sit there. I just kind of casually push the button to pop the trunk. It doesn't pop, you know, because I'm not in park. It doesn't pop. And I go, oh, whoa, sorry. Oh, also, brand new car, no plates. I don't look suspicious at all. So she's like, she's like, put the car in park, sweetheart. Pop the trunk. I'm like, all right. So I do. She pops the trunk. She's back there for a minute, right? And she's like, what's in the safe? I go, what safe? She goes, the safe in the back of your trunk. What's in it? I said, I don't know. I didn't know there's a safe back there. She's like, well, you know, come unlock it. I said, I didn't know there's a safe. I don't know the combo to that safe. I'm not popping that safe. You know, I'm like, and she's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, I just needed to, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, those are my drugs. I'm not smuggling them in. I brought those here with me. They're mine, dude. Like, calm down, you know? But so, anyways, I don't remember fully how. I just remember giving her some bogus story of like I'm fighting with my wife. And by the way, I've been separated for 2.5 years at the time. I hadn't seen her in forever, but that was my excuse. I fought with her, but flying down the freeway ended up in Mexico. You know, so get the fuck out. So she somehow lets me across the border, and I get back. I go straight from there to a hotel. I hold up in this hotel for 2 days. I had just enough money, just enough to get some more meth. and so it was good, you know. Didn't eat because didn't need to. You know, it was one of those where like your body's telling you like, dude, we gotta eat. Like we gotta, but your brain's like, bro, we got this. We're good, dude. Just keep smoke up. We'll tell you about it later, you know. So hold up in there for 2 days. I had called American Addiction Centers at the time, and they had a plane ticket waiting for me after my days were up at the hotel. I had to make sure, you know, I got all the drugs done. But turns out the day I needed to go, still had a little bit of drugs left. So I had to think quick. I grabbed my vape, right? And I just decided I'm going to smash all the rest of the shards of meth in the vape that I had left, except for I saved a little bit that I hooked a meth pipe up, okay, to a hose so that I could put the meth pipe down by my feet while I'm driving, right? Because I can't wait till I get back to smoke the meth. So I have it there while I'm driving, and then the hose is up by my face so I can smoke and then do that. But I had to put the rest of the meth in my vape so I could get high on the plane, right? Because that's normal. Because that's what people do, right? That's normal shit, you know? So, okay, I get on the plane. I get over to American Addiction Centers. And And dude picks me up. I'm like, hey, can I vape in the van? He's like, yeah, go for it, dude. I'm like, cool. So I'm vaping in the van the whole time, just messing myself up. I'm so in so much psychosis. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to be sober and I want to get sober. And when I'm sober, I'm dedicated about it. I make podcasts about it. You know what I mean? I want this really bad. So it hits me as I get there, like, oh my God, I just brought drugs into rehab. You know, just what's in the vape, of course. But not, oh, I just smoked a bunch of drugs on a fucking airplane. Not that. That's not what hit me. But like, oh, I brought some into the rehab. So I quickly take care of that. I throw that out. I wash the vape out, whatever. And, but then when I finally, you know, they take care of me, they lay me down, I get in a nice comfy bed, and a nice uncomfy bed, if you will, because it's rehab. But so I get in bed, and the whole time I'm hearing voices that I think are the other clients or patients or residents or junkies out in the living room that are like, dude, have you guys smelled the van? The van smells like meth right now. Which, like, no, it didn't, first of all. And second of all, no, who's been in the fucking van? I don't know. But that's in my mind. So I'm like freaking out that they know. And it took a good 7 days for those voices to slowly stop. I mean, you know, it's been a long time now, and I still, like, if fans are going and stuff, like, that's when it used to really get me a lot. If I was in like a bathroom with a fan, that's when I could hear the voices the best, you know. And I still have issues a little bit with that. Like, I'll have a fan on there, and you start to kind of just hear mumbling, and it's always like my most insecure qualities that I'm hearing somebody talk about somewhere, or if I'm doing something wrong, somebody fucking knows about it, and that's what I'm hearing out of that. So I do kind of still get that, which is shitty, but yeah, I mean, that kind of story right there, what I just told, like, that's not at all would blow anybody's mind that's been through this. Like, there, you know, I got a couple guys sitting in this room right now, and it's like, they're like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, we get it. You know what I mean? And the thing is with that is, like, I'm not trying to downplay it or make it like it's an okay thing. That's not what I mean. I just mean, you know, there's a lot of people going through this, and a lot of good people and people that don't want to be going through those crazy ass incidents. I mean, I was risking lives on the freeway. I was risking my life. I had narcotics on me. I had, you know, I mean, it's scary. The poor lady that I lived with, I mean, who knows what kind of hell I put her through, just the scare of it. She treated me so well, still does, by the way. Never judged me for any of it. Very sweet about it all. And, you know, I'm very thankful for that. But, like, you know, it's just tough because this is where it gets into, like, the understanding the addiction, and none of understanding the addiction, I don't want to confuse knowing how the addiction works with an excuse for being an addict or doing addict-like behaviors. You know, we're all responsible for our actions, and once we know that we're addicts, we're all responsible for our recovery and keeping ourselves sober. But it is important to understand how the addiction works and know that if you have loved ones that use, or if you use, if you're having issues, that it's not not that there's something strange or odd. This is a disease like anything else, or this is an issue like anything else that just needs to be dealt with. It's nothing that should be looked upon negatively. You know, you're not a bad person, and here's why. The breakdown of addiction is the addiction lives within the midbrain, right? And your midbrain is what controls all your impulses. It controls your fight, flight, freeze, or fuck. You know, it's what makes you crave food, which it's normal to crave food, right? But it's not normal to crave heroin. You know what I mean? But that's where the addiction lives. And you know, it's also the part of the brain that pumps your heart. You know, when you can't control. Can you control your heart beating? You can't. You know, where all of our personality and character and morals come from is your prefrontal cortex. You know, and that part of the brain works 7 times slower than your midbrain. So you're having these reactions to things that your body's doing without you trying to do it. It's your instincts that you're built with are to use and to go get drugs. And it's working faster than the part of your brain that wants to go, I don't want to do drugs. I'm a good person. I want to help people. I don't want to steal. I don't want to, lie. Like that's, so what we have to work on through recovery is retraining our midbrain to work like a normal brain. Or not normal, because there is no normal. This is normal, but to work like a brain that society is more comfortable with, to work like a brain that can contribute to society, that you can be comfortable with yourself. And the way that I found to do it now, I believe that there's absolutely infinity ways. I don't know what you want to say to get sober. Whatever works for whoever's getting sober, that's the way to do it for them. I've done some 12-step stuff. I love the 12 steps in NA and AA. I love those steps. I think they're a great way to live. I think it's a great way to be able to contribute to society and be a good person. I love the principles behind them. I love, their idea. What I do struggle with NA and AA is the book that, I struggle with a book that was written by the uneducated alcoholic that was using mescaline the whole time, so when I tell people this and they say, well, read the doctor's opinion. Okay, well, I did. Guess what? That doctor's opinion was wrong, and nothing knocking that doctor. It was all the information he had at the time. He thought that addiction was an allergy, right? And the thing with that is, if I had an allergy to alcohol, then, well, maybe I could just use heroin because I'm only allergic to alcohol, right? Or it's if I'm allergic to oranges, it doesn't mean I can't eat apples, And I've seen a lot of addicts go out like that, thinking, oh, it's an allergy. I've read the doctor's opinion. It's an allergy. I have a problem with heroin. It doesn't mean I can't drink, And they do things like that. And the problem is it's not substance at all. That's not our issue. The substance is not our issue. The substance makes it worse. What we have is an impulse control disorder, and it can come out in many ways. It can be lying, stealing. It can be, adrenaline rush. I mean, it's anything. And a lot of people have this issue, but they don't take it out through drugs. And the reason that it's so blatant and so impactful when it is through drugs that you use is because when we use drugs, it numbs our prefrontal cortex. So now the part of your brain that has the character, the morals, your personality, that's now numbed up, which was already 7 times slower anyways. And now we're dealing with the midbrain that's, telling us use, steal, lie, cheat, whatever we got to do, use, and then we think we're weird for it. And it's like, no, you're not. That's what you're supposed to do because that's what your body's telling you to do. You have to retrain it. You have to break yourself down so much to where you don't think anymore, and then when you're not thinking those cognitive behaviors, that's what you have to teach yourself to do. And I don't know the answer to how to do it. I don't. I struggle constantly. I'm looking for it. And when I go to NA and AA and those type of things, I really am completely open-minded. I want to know. The people that are staying sober, I want to know. And I am open to listening to everything. I just, and I will try absolutely anything. I just strongly believe that there's not just one way to do it. There's, I'm getting off track here a little bit, but like, when we're numbing our prefrontal cortex, and we start to do all these bad things, and then when we get sober and the numbing comes off, you'll see a bunch of us when we're in like rehab, we just go through detox, and we go from these people that we wouldn't talk to our family or friends or anything, right? We isolated so we could use these drugs, but 7 days in, and they're like, you can't have your cell phone. And we're like, but I got to call my mom, but I got to call my dad. I need my phone, right? Because now the part of your brain that like loves people, is like, hey, I'm awake. Like, let me out of the cage, right? And so now addicts are like, I need my phone, I need this and that. And all of a sudden we want to go help everybody else. We're like, let me just go, I can go fix you and you and you and you. And it's like, dude, like you're still on your subs, like chill out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've done some ridiculous, crazy stuff when I've numbed my prefrontal cortex. Stuff that like I'm totally ashamed of, but that like, I mean, it can be laughed at now. Of course I can't just pop off the cuff right now, but like, here's just a crazy story. So there's a night I was married at the time, and I had done Ambien, right? And I have dreams regularly if I don't do Ambien. Like I have dreams where like they're real, right? Like dreams are real to me. And I used to tell my wife, like, anytime that the dream was real, but then I realized I was in a dream, because I do that a lot. I realize I'm in a dream. I tell her I instantly just go into whatever house I'm around, just start going exploring and like, doing, you guys know what you do when you're like in a dream and you realize you're awake. Right? You just start going and fucking everything around you. Right? That's what I do. Is that weird? You guys are looking at me like that's weird. You don't do that shit? I fuck everything when I'm awake in my dreams. Right? So anyways, I'm on Ambien and I don't know it. And my wife is calling me and she's like, hey, where the hell are you? You've been gone. You went on a walk like an hour ago. And I'm like, oh, I'm over at the high school, which, by the way, the high school at the time was like a good 6-hour walk from where we're at. So there's no way. She's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, oh, wait, no, actually, I can see your friend's house. And then I guess I told her, I said, hey, I'm dreaming right now. And she goes, no, you're not. No, you're not. I'm like, I swear, I'm in a dream. I'll talk to you later. I'm in a dream. And she goes, I promise you you're not dreaming. Please don't go into any house. So I don't know what happens next. But I do know that eventually she finds me like a good 30-minute drive from our house in the middle of a field, and she said there were cops driving around everywhere with their lights looking, and she's like, you must have been going up to doors and like knocking on them. Who knows, right? Picks me up, we go back home. What do I do? Pop another fucking Ambien, I get back into bed. You know what I mean? Like, and that just made sense to me. Like, that just, fuck it. You know? It just, yeah, I mean, okay. Here's a fun one. This one wasn't my choice, actually. So I was in treatment. This was about September of last year. I'm in treatment, and I had no roommate at the time, but I was going to move another guy that I had got close to into my room. And at the time, I had caught 2 guys using heroin, and I have always been that guy that, like, fuck the ratting shit. Like, this is treatment. Like, this is our safe place. You know what I mean? Like, if you're out there on the street, yeah, nobody ratting should really do it, but, like, this is our safe place, you know? And, like, I catch these 2 dudes doing fucking heroin in the bathroom, and I just keep my mouth shut, but I'm like, fuck it. You know, I don't know. And then these other 2 dudes that I was through detox with were doing it the whole time, and I knew that too. I still leave it alone. Well, then it ends up there's 6 of them, and one dude I know who kept, like, going and getting it and bringing it in and doing all this shit, and there's 6 of them, and they're in their rooms, and all I did was they were lit the fuck up. And they also, one of them had popped positive for MDMA at the time, and I had gone into their rooms, and I was like, listen, just because I didn't want the other clients getting triggered was all, you know? And I'm like, just stay in your goddamn rooms. That's what I said. And I guess they thought I was going to fucking tell. So I'm like, I don't know that they think that. Well, I'm moving the one dude out of the room into my room that's not using. As I'm moving him, I leave a Coke on the counter in there, right? And I come back. It's got like, a quarter left, like a couple sips. I come back. I just drink it really quick. 30 minutes later, we're in a meeting, right? Everybody's in this. It's like 150 people. All of a sudden, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I start tripping balls. And I'm like, and I had never done that drug. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I was hanging out with these couple Marines at the time, right? And the one Marine kind of grabs me and ducks my head down. He's like, dude, we got to get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to get an infraction. And he's like, because that's where my mind goes. He's like, dude, we got to get the fuck, you got to get out of here. So he calls a BHT over. He's like, hey, look, this guy's got a migraine. Like, we got to go. And so, BHT's like, okay. So he takes me back to my room. I'm staring in the mirror, staring at my eyes. I'm like, tripping out. And I'm like, dude, look at my eyes. And he goes, I know. What'd you take? And I'm like, I swear I didn't take anything. And he's like, well, he's like, I'm going to believe you because it's you. He's like, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. He's like, but if you did do something, he's like, just tell me. He's like, we'll go to the BHTs. They'll take care of you. We'll get you back on track. It's not a big deal, you know? And I told him, I was like, I swear I didn't take anything. So at this point now, the other Marines also in the room and my new roommate's in the room, and they've pieced together what's happened. I've been fucking dosed with MDMA by those fucks in case I fucking told. So I'd pop dirty too. So I'm like, I'm laying on my bed tripping balls, and the other Marine's already banging on doors. He's ready to go. So I gotta get up. I'm like, we're gonna do this. Let's do this. They push me back on the bed. They're like, you ain't doing shit, dude. So I lay back on the bed. I'm like, fuck. So the four of us. Can't count. It's all that MDMA I used to do. So the four of us go, and we had to finally tell BHT, and we're like, dude, like, he got dosed. What do we do? So she takes me to the hospital. They all got to come with me. It was like, I used to get what's called the Saul treatment. That's what they used to call it, which is not, I'm just nice. So they're nice to me, and they do nice shit for me. So they let all my friends come with me to the hospital, right? So we all go to the hospital. They piss test me. They take my blood, you know. Finally, it's like 1 a.m, and the BHC's like, dude, we're leaving you. Like, I got to take these cats back. So, oh, by the way, so they're all having a good time. They all want to eat. They're bumming smokes off people outside. Nobody brought their wallets. So we're all hungry, and I need cigarettes because I'm high on MDMA and I need to smoke, right? So they're bumming cigarettes, and when I'm getting them, I'm like smoking it down so quick. I never smoked so fast. Either that or time was lapsing that I didn't know about. But like, all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, and the BHC's like, we're gonna have to go, and she rubs my back. She's like, you're looking a little better, sweetheart. You feel a little better? I said, does the floor have a fucking heartbeat to you guys? She's like, okay. So I get pulled back finally again. The nurse has me in the bed, and she's like, so sweetheart, you ever done MDMA? I said, no. She goes, think you have tonight. I'm like, all right. So now it's 5 a.m. I catch a ride back to Resolutions. Oops, I don't know if I should say the name. It's a great place, actually. But I catch a ride back over there, and I have a note from the doctor that says, absolutely do not go to treatment tomorrow, right? Like, go to bed, right? And I'm like, fuck that. I'm wide awake. I type up this email. I name all 6 of those dudes. Who's doing what? Who's bringing what in? Fuck those guys. Who dosed me, right? And then we go to town hall the next morning. I show up, right? I stand up, sit next to those 2 Marines and my roommate, and I stand up in town hall. I'm like, I just want everybody to know. Hey! Just want everybody to know. Like, if you got tested today on suspicion of using, I'm like, that was fucking me. Like, no behind the back shit. I'm like, I'm still high right now. No, I'm like, no, that was me. I'm like, I told on you guys, but there's no behind the back shit. It's just, I'm like, I love you guys. We're all brothers and sisters in addiction, which is true. And we all struggle with the same thing. But this is our safe place, and we got to keep this place safe for us. And I had to protect myself, and I think that all of us there should protect our community there. And it actually, everybody kind of agreed. People clapped and stuff. Of course, my buddies next to me turned to me like, dude, you're going to get our fucking asses kicked today. I was like, that's not what this is about. But let's go. So we end up, things go pretty well that day. Nothing happens. Those dudes get the boot, and I sober up, and but it does make me look at like even those guys. There were a couple of those dudes that, like, the one dude that used all the way through detox. That poor guy, somebody was bringing it in through our detox, and he never got to get out of junkie brain. He never got to get that sober for just even a couple days thing going. So he couldn't get it going where he wants. He couldn't get the midbrain. He couldn't get the prefrontal cortex unnumbed, So the midbrain was just taking over the entire time. And I felt bad, man. He struggled. You could tell there was a good guy in there. You could tell. Drug addicts, they're not bad people. They're not all good people either, though. I hate that shit of like, we're all good people. We just fucking use drugs and lie and steal and cheat. No, that's bullshit too. You know what I mean? But like, there are good people, a lot of us. It's just like with anything else, we struggle with something and it needs to be worked on daily, and there can't be excuses about it. There's no excuse for relapse. There's no excuse for using. There's, we a lot of us have trauma, big traumatic, almost all of us have big, huge traumatic backgrounds, and the thing is with trauma too, is trauma lives in the midbrain with the addiction. So, trauma can make your addiction stronger if you're latching onto that, which a lot of us do. I did for a long time. My family, I blamed them for why I was an addict. I would blame them to their face. I'd yell at them to their face. And when I finally got sober and learned about this, I had to tell my parents, I said, look, I know you guys blame yourselves for me being an addict, mainly because I told you it was your fault for me being an addict. But it's not. It's, addiction, because it's genetic and it's a disease. It can catch anybody. You'll see rich people, famous people, poor people, people with great childhoods, people with shitty childhoods. It doesn't matter, because that's not how it works. That's not why you become an addict. If I had to tell my parents, I said, listen, I need you to know something. And it's, it wouldn't matter how great or how horrible my childhood was. And mine, to be honest, it, like anybody else's, their shit happened, right? But there's nothing that they could have done to have caused me to become an addict. And there's nothing they could have done to prevent it. It was there. And that's with any addict. And the thing is, now it's my responsibility, because I know I'm an addict. It's my responsibility to daily put myself in check and work on this. And it's tough. And I can't say that I'll never use again. I never want to use again. I can't say that I won't, because it's retraining, creating a new path. And, I've learned a lot of coping mechanisms in rehab, and a lot of my triggers. But the thing is, the skills are still new to me. They're still new. So with anything that's new, it's not always going to work the first time around. But the important thing is if there is a relapse, don't beat yourself up for it. Don't feel shameful. Get your ass up, get going again, and let's do this. But hopefully in the future here, I'd like to have other addicts come on and tell their war stories or their recovery stories. And I want excuse me, I want to just have a good time with it, have a lot more fun than I have on this one. I know I got kind of serious and kind of whatever, but so thanks for listening, and talk to you fucks later.